Today is my favorite day of our entire podcasting career. And you know what? The thing about today is that my profile is, I'm a rising star. My profile is I'm a very important person. I've a lot of my time is being spent on way more important things than this podcast. The follower count is climbing rapidly. Um I'm a very, prolific, very important person. So the last thing on my mind is this podcast, and I genuinely was thinking about just like quitting, calling it quits on this pod. Like 3 episodes, that's a good, I got it out of my system, and then you just the one word, you just had to say one word, and that word was boognish.
The Guzman Weendus PM Pod. The Guzman Weendus PM Pod. The Guzman Weendus PM Pod. The Guzman Weendus. Weendus PM Pod.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down.
So,
Down with everything you just said. So today, being this is a music podcast, and we're doing our best to keep things stimulating and interesting. We figured we'd do some deep dives into some of the most penis-y bands on planet Earth, and the number one that comes to mind, especially between the both of us, and the first one that was also discussed as the one. What was that?
that was me burping.
What was that? Was that the charger?
That was the charger. It's gonna buzz. It's fine.
Okay.
They won't hear it.
This is lo-fi.
Lo-fi.
Lo-fi. Yeah.
And it's honestly in the spirit of today's topic.
Exactly.
It's fitting.
This is our God blank Satan era of the PM pod, and then we're gonna eventually advance. But let me just fucking say it before I fucking lose my train of thought. This is the Ween deep dive episode, and there'll be more deep dive episodes, but this is the first one, this is probably easily one of the penisiest bands on planet Earth. So I think it's fitting to really start. What's a good way to say that? To really start.
Start today.
Start today. That's exactly what Ween said.
That's a Ween song. So anyone who knows me knows that Ween is my favorite band of all time. One of them, at least. They're top 5.
Yeah, for sure.
It's maybe the top 5 is like Bomb the Music Industry, Ween, Pink Floyd, and then some other bands. But they're up there. And the reason why they're up there, I mean, I don't want to go too far back into my, into the depths of my childhood, my upbringing.
We've done that a few times, I think, on this already. So.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's gotten deep. It's gotten there,
yeah,
for sure. But
because I'm like a Jordan Peterson kind of guy,
right?
So
I'm a pretty cool guy, pretty groovy guy. But I got put on to Ween when I was like 13, something like that. And this is before I knew about any, because like a lot of people hear about Ween, they think of the Ocean Man song and the SpongeBob. Not a lot of people know that Ween also wrote Loop de Loop. Remember that song?
They did. I actually found that in my research. I forgot that they did that.
Yeah.
I was reminded when I was on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Trying to study as much as humanly possible before this.
Right. But my introduction was the Mollusk.
Okay.
And you could imagine as a 13-year-old kid whose musical vocabulary started and ended with Green Day and Metallica, to hear Dancing in the Show Tonight for the first, like the first song in as your introduction into a band,
Yeah.
That would turn away most people.
It would certainly turn me away.
But for me, it was captivating enough to delve into the rest of the record. And, in your experience listening to the Mollusk, like, was there, at what point, you start the record, you hit play, how long did it take you to be like, all right, this needs to end? Like,
So here's the thing. There's two things that I fucking hate more than anything when it comes to like any sort of movie or any sort of music, mostly music. It's like nautical theme shit and Western shit. Like and I don't even hate Western shit that much, but when something goes Western,
yeah,
like there's like comic books that have a Western arc, or like there's a record that has a Western sounding part.
yeah.
I just, that's where I get off. But like nautical shit, just there's something about it that kind of just makes me irate. It's not telling of my experience listening to Ween. But to answer your question, it was around the Blarney Stone that I was like, all right, maybe I might need to skip
my
this.
ass, you wee bitty fuck.
So honestly, the Mollusk was like I thought of Flapjack. Remember the cartoon Flapjack?
Oh yeah. Well, so I've thought about this before. Flapjack, I feel like the entire theme of the show is either based off of the Mollusk or In the Airplane Over the Sea. Like, I feel like whoever wrote that script, like, was definitely a penis.
Well, yeah. Well, that's like, I feel like a lot of like cartoonists, especially like that wave of Cartoon Network with like I guess like 2007, 2008, is all people that like just graduated college from art school. So you can imagine like all that shit is like fucking all the shit they were listening to rather. Really inspired a lot of that, which stuff I could see like Ween and fucking Nutri-Milk Hotel is another one.
Yeah.
I mean, then like look at Adventure Time, where like that was like the ukulele wave that sort of came afterwards, like
Disgusting.
like flannel, like thick rim glasses people. In
That's like
2009.
like the way you feel about nautical shit is the way I feel about ukuleles.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of ukuleles either. They're hilarious. That's definitely
Here, keep talking. I'm gonna move this microphone in the middle of the pod.
okay. But ukulele is definitely that's not like a penis. I don't think that's a penis instrument. It's really annoying.
It's a penis archetype.
It should be. It's like penis adjacent, I think, because of the fact that it is really annoying and it's like a stupid guitar that's tuned fucking really stupidly.
But you know what I think it is? I think that you can't be good enough at a ukulele for it to qualify for penis licensing.
Yeah.
For a penis license.
Like you could be cute. Like you could be like a cute person doing a ukulele cover, and that's not like, I feel like cute is pretty much off limits for penis music.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're like Tiny Tim. I feel like Tiny Tim maybe is the only person who could play a ukulele and make it penisy.
Well, also
that's what he played, right? Tiny Tim was ukulele.
I actually don't even know who that is.
What?
What is that?
That's Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Do you know what's funny? I think of Insidious every time I hear that song.
I fucking hate that movie.
Yeah.
Can I be honest? I think that's a really bad horror movie.
Yeah,
I'm a horror movie guy. I'm not at all.
Yeah.
Shout out Silver Bullet.
Yeah, but anyway, someone just
I remember watching that movie and being like, this is fucking lame.
Yeah. Well, I guess on the topic of being cute and penisy, I'll like half retract that statement, because like Daniel Johnston is penis music, and he was like a cute little man. He was just like, like you like you're like, oh man, like
yeah,
like
it definitely blew my mind, as I'm sure it did yours.
Oh
when you heard
yeah,
about, like the plane crash shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, not at all.
You don't know what I'm talking about? Okay.
What do we?
Maybe I don't know all of the specifics of this story. I could be making some shit up, so maybe I need to vet myself as I tell the story. But
okay,
Daniel Johnston like crashed a plane that his father was flying or something. Hold on. Daniel
I feel like I remember
plane
something about that.
crash. Yeah, Daniel Johnston flew a 2-seater plane. Had a psychotic episode while the plane was flying, in which he thought he was Casper the Friendly Ghost and took the key from the ignition and threw it out the window.
Jesus Christ. That's kind of the same thing that happened to Ozzy and Randy Rhoads, right?
Is it? Or is that a joke?
That was like half a joke because they got fucked up and they were dry. That's how Randy Rhoads died. Is that they were like they had a plane and they were flying the plane and they were fucked up and they wanted to see how close they could get to the ground. They're like, oh yeah, closer, and then just
closer,
you know,
closer.
But
all right, where were we?
I don't know. We went on a tangent, but
Daniel Johnston ukuleles
kind of making our way back to nautical shit. My experience, Ween is a band that like is like around all the things I like, but it's one of those things I just never got around to really checking out. Like I think in my Spotify like algorithmic playlists or like any sort of shuffle thing, songs from like Quebec would come on, and I obviously knew Ocean Man already from like SpongeBob and shit like that. They were always a band that was around, but I just never took the time to really get into it. Because I do that, I'll just get in like little modes where I'll have like 5 or 6 bands that I'm really really into, and Bandit's on the podcast now. I don't even, can you even see her at all?
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna retract my statement real quick. I think that the first song I listened to from Ween actually was "Push Little Daisies."
Okay.
I don't know if that was in. I think that's a Quebec song.
Possibly.
I could be wrong. Actually, I think that might be Chanel.
I don't think I listened to it because in my deep dive I just did.
That's guava, pure guava.
Okay, so in my deep dive that I basically was I asked you, I said, what albums should we really focus on and talk about? To which you gave me fucking God, Ween, Satan.
Yeah.
Actually, the order was the Mollusk, then Chocolate and Cheese, then White Pepper, then God, Weed, Satan.
Yeah.
So we kind of worked our way. Actually, you know, I won't even say that. As far as my interpretation of it, we kind of did a roller coaster of all things like Ween, like where it's like the most listenable or like kind of somewhere in the middle listenable with the Mollusk, and then Chocolate and Cheese was kind of like that's like sort of its own little like wavelength of like pretty listenable, but then also really penisy parts.
Yeah.
Then White Pepper, which was really listenable, but also probably the least like Ween type stuff. And then fucking God, Ween, Satan, which is like just exponential rocket launch into penis dumb.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So the reason why I gave you that order specifically is because those are like my favorite Ween records in order.
Okay.
Like my like top 4 Ween records. So I mean I could, you know, I also love like Quebec. You know, a lot of my favorite Ween songs are on Quebec. But in terms of like Ween records that like, you know, I love all of it, but like those are the 4 that I know like front to back. Like those are the records I fucking listened to like and like destroyed, you know, for myself when I was a teenager.
Yeah, just those are the ones that just broke your brain. It's like I need more sounds like this. I need more like fucking bicycle horns and whatever the fuck they do.
So for me, I love the nautical shit.
Okay.
You know, like, and maybe that is a little bit of like growing up on Long Island nostalgia.
Yeah.
Like
you're a little sailor, dude.
Yeah. But it's something that I appreciate a lot in music when it's done well.
Yeah.
So I think that they were able to take like the nautical themes and like inject so much of themselves into it.
Yeah.
That they were able to use that archetype and make it their own thing.
Yeah.
To such an extent that it became ingrained in like their own sound.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I feel like even on the mollusk, like there's not everything is super nautical. Like I almost like my first impressions when I first like was started really listening through, I'm like, there's a lot of this that just sounds like Butthole Surfers covering Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's I got that a lot throughout. I mean, obviously, I feel like the two Ween and Butthole Surfers are like pretty, at least sort of orbiting around the same sphere in a lot of people's brains.
Yeah.
But like,
which I don't think is justified, but that's a topic for another.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like the sounds that I got, obviously, just like '90s weird shit. You know, like I don't think that there's like I don't know. I haven't done enough like diving into it, but what was the songs that like Mutilated Lips?
Yep.
And like fucking It's Gonna Be All Right. Those were like probably my two favorites on the record. I think that's because they were like the most like Pink Floyd kind of stuff. Mutilated Lips was just, I guess, still very like Ween, like weird, but like, and like definitely some of their like hooky tongue-in-cheek kind of stuff, but like it was catchy, you know, and it was very, very listenable. I think that's going to be a word that keeps coming up on this episode, is like what's
the fact
listenable,
that you
what's
have
not.
to like you have to state so frequently like, oh yeah, this Ween song is listenable.
yeah.
This is a normal kind of song you can maybe listen to without having a fucking aneurysm.
Yeah.
Or questioning your self-worth.
Yeah. So I think overall I enjoyed.
I mean, it's funny because, sorry to cut you off, but Mollusk is their most like critically acclaimed, commercially successful album.
Yeah,
and it's still penis.
Well, it's way penisier than White Pepper. You know, like, and I feel like White Pepper is like the one where it's like, I feel like anybody who likes like Matador records would actually just really like that record, you know, or something like that.
White Pepper was their first like major label.
Oh, okay, that would make sense.
Like,
but
that was them literally trying to step into the commercial music sphere.
Yeah, and like still the like Ocean Man is like the one of like, I mean, it is their biggest song.
Yeah.
But also that's the one that's like licensed in a bunch of shit, and that's really funny. I guess that I feel like that's just how it works for like those types of bands. Like, and I guess penis music in general is like, a lot of the times when people are being so genuinely themselves, that's what ends up sticking more than their attempts at really like making things that people actually want to hear.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like Guided by Voice is another really good example of that, where it's like, I feel like most people really like their lo-fi basement stuff more than they like things like Do the Collapse, which was fucking produced by, was it Rick Ocasek? Is that how you say his name? I never know how to say it.
I don't know.
The Cars dude.
Yeah.
What I forgive me if I butchered that, but the dude from the Cars produced that record, and I feel like that's a very relatively unknown Guided by Voices record. I could be wrong about that, but just in my experience, you know. But that's how that seems to go with like when people insert themselves, like so much of themselves into stuff. That's what people more or less remember them for, and that's what I guess universally travels to people's homes and their speakers and their ears, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that for fans of Ween, White Pepper is still like, you know, because a lot of bands will take the step into the commercial world and like lose their core fan base.
Yeah.
Because they feel like they sold out, or they, you know, stopped doing like what they were known for.
Yeah.
Whereas with Ween, I think that they were able to do that kind of like, okay, we're gonna please the people, like our fucking core, like, you know, occult fucking weirdo listeners, and these fucking dudes at this boardroom meeting with the tie on, you know. And they were successful in doing that because Ween has always been able to write a good song, and that's like something where like I'll, you know, put like, sometimes if I like have friends that I know like just don't like that shit, or are just gonna tilt their nose up to it immediately as soon as you put it on, like I'll put on Freedom of 76.
Yeah.
You know, or like Waving My Dick in the Wind.
Yeah.
And like people won't necessarily associate it immediately with like weirdo music or whatever, you know, like it just kind of sounds like good songwriting because they have always been able, like even on God Weed Satan, like there's fucking Birthday Boy,
Yeah.
you know, like, so it's not like they had to learn how to become good songwriters to step into the commercial world. They just were, and they just played to that strength more frequently throughout that album, and still did the, like, you know, the classic Ween thing is they're able to switch up whatever, like they can make a country song, they can make this fucking nautical shit, they can make a Motorhead song, they can make like a fucking acoustic song or a punk song or a Pink Floyd song, or just a fucking really weird song. Like they can do all of that shit, you know, or like even like Bananas and Blow, or fucking like, you know, like everywhere on White Pepper, they still do that thing.
Yeah.
But they're able to do it in a way where it doesn't sound like they're making music for weirdos. You know?
Do you know what it is too? And I found this in my experience of doing like joke bands and stuff. I feel like there's so much of their sense of humor that's like not even like not like sprinkled on, but like straight up like icing on a fucking cake. Like I feel like everything they do is like their sense of humor. And when you're like acting and making through that lens of just like, I feel like you just automatically become good at stuff because it's almost like you don't give it, like obviously I'm not going to speak for them and say they don't give a shit, but like you don't give a shit about being serious or being heard. Like it's just a fucking joke, you know? So it's like, I feel like that almost like weirdly just like puts you on automatic to just like make really good shit on accident or like unintentionally. Yeah, and it's like you could like, especially in the early stuff, like the lo-fi stuff, you could hear a lot of the fucking the humor in that. I feel like as they got like you know more commercially successful, that's where things like the nautical shit comes into play, where it's still like them and still their sense of humor, but it's in a way that's a little less it's a little more difficult to be like, well, that's like a joke, or like, oh, maybe this is like a concept or something, or some sort of artistic decision, you know.
But they were able to still pull that, like even in Blarney Stone. That song is fucking hilarious. Because it's just a belligerent fucking pirate saying a bunch of crazy shit. And it fits into the theme of the record.
Or even like fucking on Chocolate and Cheese with like spinal meningitis. Like that's like hilarious. And also really dark. Did
you listen to Homo Rainbow?
No, I didn't.
Or Piss Up a Rope?
No.
Dude, there's like so much shit that they do. That like,
what records are those on actually? Because I like listened through all the records. I wasn't like studying, putting like writing shit down and memorizing song titles. But
Homo Rainbow is not on a record, I don't think. Because it's not on Shinola. I mean, there is. I think it's only on like a live record.
Oh, okay. So I definitely did not.
But Homo Rainbow is like, or maybe it is a single and it's just not on Spotify. But it is just like one of those like occult Ween mainstay kind of songs. Piss Up a Rope is on Country Greats.
Okay, so I didn't listen to that.
Which honestly, it is a really fucking funny record.
Yeah. Like I feel like, especially the early days of Ween and like all that stuff is just, it's like straight up cow and chicken music. Like God, Ween, Satan. I'm like, I just picture like fucking cow and chickens beating each other up to this. Which I love cow and chicken, so I'm totally down with that. But like just like even like a lot of the voices they do and the textures they do and like everything is just like
Bumblebee. Are you referring to?
You know, like stuff like that where or
like that slapstick just like screaming.
You know, where like you could like they have big slimy mouths and shit, like, you know, like,
LMLYP.
Let me look at some more songs that I remember. I Got's a Weasel. I mean, like shit like that, you know. Cold and Wet. Never Squeal. Like shit like that, where it's just like, this is like so cartoony and it's in such a cool way. Like, and I was actually I got a little antsy in the order of the way I listened to these records, because while I was listening to Chocolate and Cheese that day, I was on Wikipedia, just like kind of scrolling and reading up as much as humanly possible about it. And then I've read that they like, I guess basically there's like the era, like the lo-fi era, like
The 4-track.
yeah, like the 4-track era. I'm like, well, that's what I want to hear. I feel like that's where like the really, really good shit is.
I mean, it's on Chocolate and Cheese.
Yeah, but like I feel like God, Ween, Satan, like the real just like super lo-fi shit.
Yeah.
Like that's where I'm like, oh no, I want to listen to that, because most of these types of bands, their best stuff is in sort of that like basement, you know, era, like, or basement era of things, you know. So it was definitely not exactly what I was expecting listening to everything else. But it was still, I really actually did enjoy it a lot.
Well, they're one of those bands where like they were able to keep the quality of their songwriting and like their comedy and all of the charming aspects of Ween, and add production value onto it as time went on.
Yeah.
You know, like
that's a skill.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it proves that it wasn't a fluke, you know, that they genuinely are just really good songwriters.
There's a song on White Pepper that I really liked, and I'm like, oh, I'm surprised like this tone, I didn't hear this sort of tone on any other song. I think it's The Grobe.
Yeah,
where it's like super fuzzy, like fuzz rock shit. Like,
yeah,
I'm like, oh no, this is awesome. Another band that kind of like I feel like they're definitely not related at all, but sort of remind me, like their trajectory sort of reminds me of the same thing as I feel like Wire has a very similar trajectory where like they're definitely a lot more serious and like post punky, but their later records like almost have like this really like it's almost a totally different band.
Yeah.
But like still really sick songwriting and really catchy stuff. Like I've been trying to probably for the last like 2 years or so get out of the mentality of like, if a band is like 20-30 years into their career, they can't, like, nothing they make is going to be good.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel like that like sort of being seasoned to that and like going into their later records, I feel like it really helped in like actually just listening to it objectively as like what they probably wanted you to hear, as opposed to just like washed up people that should stop.
I feel like with Wire though, people do look to their older, I mean, they look to like albums like Pink Flag when they like think of like their discography.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of the hole where a lot of that post-punk shit kind of falls in. You know, where people are so nostalgic about it that they can't look to the like later, more well-produced stuff for, you know, any of those bands, whether it be fucking, you know, Wire or like Big Black. You know, like
that's penis music.
Yeah, it is, but like it is very similar to Ween in that fact where they have the lo-fi stuff and the more well-produced stuff.
Yeah.
But Ween, I feel like, stands out because they got better with time.
Yeah.
And people aren't nostalgic. Like people, like the normal fucking person that isn't a Ween fan would not even like they would put God, Ween, Satan on and turn it off after 30 seconds. Because they were like, what, this isn't listenable.
Yeah.
You know, where like Ween were able to say like, okay, like we know we're good songwriters. We know we're funny. We know our production sucks. So like now we have money to do it. So we could take that step up and still be good.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that confidence also. I feel like to be a band like Ween, you need to know that you're that fucking funny.
Yeah.
You know, or you need to know that you're funny in like you're like you need to make yourself laugh. You need to be able to make yourself laugh.
And on top of that too, I feel like you just need to be so fucking unrelentingly sure of yourself to like go out and do shit like that I almost feel like people just follow them as opposed to like their music, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's a whole sort of experience. It's kind of like I feel like in history you get those sort of gems of people that will just follow a band into like hell, and I feel like they're one of those bands. I mean, Zappa's also one of those types of guys. Rush is one of those bands.
No, Jeter and Diener are legends.
Yeah, for sure. Like I mean, even to put a hilarious definitely not the same type of person or same type of fan at all, but even like Coheed, like in Cambria, like I feel like there's Coheed fans and then like that and then there's like people who like early 2000s stuff that'll listen to one record. Like Coheed fans are like going to see them everywhere. Clutch is another example where there's just like
or Dillinger.
Yeah, like I feel like even with like Clutch though, like there's like 50-year-old construction workers that don't like metal that like Clutch.
Yeah.
That like oh, I love Clutch. I'll go see them every time they fucking play.
Yeah.
I've seen them 10 times, you know. Which there's a couple of people I just named that's on my list of deep dives too. Is Steve Albini, fucking
John Frusciante.
John Frusciante is definitely on there. But he's another one too that like he's definitely got a crazy cult following. Like all of his music videos on YouTube are fan made.
Yeah.
Like and they're like those are the music videos for like people just make like media for his music.
Yeah.
And he doesn't give a shit about it because he's insane. But like but no, like I feel like just to kind of circle back because I'm going on a tangent, but I feel like there comes a certain part, and even with like artists and painters and people, like I feel like when someone's like so sure of themselves that whatever they do, they're just like, yeah, this is it. This is what's happening. You know?
Yeah.
I feel like people just their fan base becomes cult, where it's almost they're just like living in that world.
I mean, Ween is a hard band to be half in, half out on.
Yeah, for sure. That's
know?
definitely true.
I mean, like once you realize that they actually are like good,
yeah,
you kind of can. Like I know people who like only listen to like Chocolate and Cheese,
or,
like because I mean I feel like even though like we've said a million times already, like White Pepper is like the most accessible for like a normal person, for a normal neurotypical you know not maladapted like, you know, person. Human being.
Yes.
White Pepper is sure like that you can listen to that record kind of. But Chocolate and Cheese has like the most charm, I feel like.
I think Chocolate and Cheese in my brain, especially like I told you this off record that I think that was the most well put together record front to back.
Yeah.
And
you know what I think it is? I think that's the easiest record to sing along to.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
except for I can't put my finger on it. That was like, okay, this needs to stop. I was like walking. I'm like I was kind of walking to like the tempo of it too. I'm like I feel like I'm in bizarro fucking land right now. I need to like maybe skip this song. But Chocolate and Cheese, I feel like if you want a mix of everything Ween, that's probably like the go-to one, you know, where it's like you get a little of everything. You get the humor, you get the serious shit. You see how good they are at writing music.
Yeah.
But it's also there is that like
that's the Ween tasting menu.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if you want like the fucking the pamphlet that tells you all things Ween, or the fucking the abridged version, you know, if you will. I feel like Chocolate and Cheese is definitely your best bet.
Right.
Because I liked White Pepper, I think the most because of that, just because like that record sounds like what I like to listen to.
Yeah.
Just like any band can sound like that. I'm like, oh no, this is awesome. Even just like from the fucking intro of what's the
on White Pepper.
Yeah. Oh god, it's exactly where I'm at.
The past in the front.
And they got like the reverby, spacey like vocals. They got everything that I like in there, and like
the drum fill with the phaser on it.
Yeah, you know, and just like that kind of like the straightforward like sort of like Ringo beat.
Yeah.
You know, like just everything about him. Like that's just what I like to listen to. So on first impression, like if you're a Ween fan and you're not trying to scare the hose away, you know, I feel like that's the record you put on. Or if you're on tour with your band of hardcore kids and you don't want them to get that pissed off, you put on White Pepper.
See, I feel like personally, I know this from experience because I have put on the record on tour, and I've stepped in that water.
Yeah.
I feel like Chocolate and Cheese is the most like down to earth record. Actually, you know, like I'm not talking about like the most well produced or like the most fucking like radio friendly, but like for people like us, or people like the kind of people that I am going to be in a van with.
Yeah.
Chocolate and Cheese has the most songs where you can show it to someone who has like someone who's played with penis. Someone who has played with penis. Someone who has listened to Primus, someone who their dad showed them Zappa when they were fucking 10. Like that kind of person, you put on Chocolate and Cheese and they could probably vibe with a couple of those songs.
Someone who heard Epic by Faith No More on the radio.
Yeah.
Was like, what is that song?
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And then they find out 10 years later, oh, that's that band Faith No More.
Uh-huh.
Like someone like that for sure. Funny enough, just while we're on the topic of trying to sneak penis music in the van while, there's like 15 people in with you.
Yeah.
I did like a trick one time on the way to we had an overnight drive to North Carolina, and I put on The Wall because I was driving through the night. I put on The Wall, and I was like, but that's like I think anybody can listen to Pink Floyd,
yeah, but The Wall, dude, even sometimes I have a hard time with that record.
Well, the thing is, first 4 tracks, up until Brick in the Wall, I feel like you have Goodbye Blue Sky, that is before The Wall, right? Goodbye Blue Sky.
What do you mean?
But that is before Another Brick, on the track listing. It's In the
I think
Flesh.
That's either the 3rd or 4th track.
Yeah, In the Flesh, and then what's next? It's fuck. What is it?
I haven't. It's been a while.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. So, but whatever. I very strategically put on The Wall front to back, and everybody fell asleep.
Thin Ice.
Okay, that is Thin Ice, and then
Thin Ice, and then Another Brick Part 1, Happiest Days Part 2, Mother, then Goodbye Blue Sky.
Wow.
Goodbye Blue Sky is pretty deep.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, but there's
Spaces, Young Lust.
There's still enough that's like this is okay, this is weird rock music. This isn't this is cool late night driving music. This isn't penis music.
Yeah. I mean, but you get there pretty quick.
You get there quick, but by this point it was already 1 o'clock in the morning.
I mean, you're right. Side 2 is where it really gets dark, but that's not intentional.
Yeah. So
you get into Vera, and then all the fucking. Or actually, no, is Vera side 1?
I actually don't even know the sides of the track the track listing.
No, yeah, because side 2 starts with Hey You.
Okay, yeah. So that's getting us in some real dark.
Yeah, dude. That was that was what I thought emo was before I knew what emo was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's sad.
Hey You, no, but Hey You is fucking dark.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. Or fucking. I remember we used to listen to the radio sometimes in gym class, and Welcome to the Machine came on.
Yeah.
And Mr. Basil was his name. It was during the fucking synth part at the end, and he goes, "What the fuck is this funeral music shit?" And he runs over to the radio and puts on BLI or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I very strategically put everybody to sleep with Pink Floyd at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm all right, everyone's asleep. I still got 5 hours to go. Put on Scenes from a Memory. No one's gonna notice. Whatever. I got to Beyond This Life before
someone woke up.
It's
fuck.
What the fuck is this?
You know what Pink Floyd record I put on in the van?
What?
Adam Hart Mother.
That's way past my scope of Pink Floyd.
Really?
Yeah.
You've never listened to Adam Hart Mother?
No.
Really?
Yeah, no, I probably should do that, right?
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I will.
Don't listen.
Yeah, that's going to be a whole other episode where you're sort of you're at the helm.
At the helm, yeah. Well, Adam Hart Mother is. I mean, Adam Hart Mother and metal.
Okay.
I feel are because the Saucer Full of Secrets and what's the other one? What's the first one with Sid Barrett?
Dude, I feel like my brain is fried. I used to have all this shit on the lock, deep cuts and everything. I can't think of anything.
Yeah, me neither. Piper at the Gates of Dawn.
Okay.
Piper and Saucer Full of Secrets are just they're supposed to be pop records. They're supposed to be like any other fucking band from London in fucking the 60s.
Yeah, where their hair is kind of
but they're just a little too they get a little fucking freaky. And then
Yeah.
Ummagumma. Oh my god.
So I basically when it comes to Pink Floyd, I start at metal.
Yeah.
Like I said, because it's just one of those things. Like I'll probably, now that you've recommended it, I'll go back even further. It's
But
just one
do
of
you
those
like
things.
Obscured by Clouds?
Well,
That's a good album.
I haven't listened to it.
Obscured by Clouds is good shit. And then like, okay, so obviously like the records that everyone knows are Dark Side, Wish You Were Here, and The Wall, and then maybe Animals.
Yeah.
For me, Animals is my favorite.
Yeah, I remember you yelled at me one of the first times we ever started really talking.
I think
about
it's the
music.
best. I think it's objectively the best Pink Floyd record.
Yeah,
like the most coherent, like front to back, like with a theme, like best solos,
yeah.
It's the best record.
I'm personally a Wall guy. I think The Wall and Wish You Were Here, those are usually like when I'm in the mood for Pink Floyd, that's what I'm going for.
But I just don't think anyone is actually like sitting down and listening to The Wall front to back, like while they're on a fucking run.
Well, that's true.
That's just not. No one's doing that. It's the same thing as the White Album.
Yeah,
it's like no one's listening to the White Album.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know.
It's almost like one of those things, like the radio has played most of those records so much that they're just ingrained in your brain. And when you want like a bit of just like either just like sedation when you're sitting down and relaxing, or you just want to be nostalgic for a second, or just like, oh, I don't want to think about music, I'll put that on.
Yeah.
That's what you put on. But The Wall for me is like one where like I'm invested the entire time, and I'm just like, this is sick.
Yeah.
So actually I'm gonna ask you a question because I brought this up before. And I feel like it's a good jumping off point before we get on too much of a tangent about Pink Floyd, because that could just be a whole episode in itself.
Yeah.
So there's no, I don't want to say crossover. There's no like where is Ween in the grand scheme of like the musical timeline? Like what's around that? Like what's the hit? Like where are they just weirdly their own thing? Or like, is there bands around them that they're playing with? Have they played with Butthole Surfers? Because I brought that up, but then you were like, nope, wrong.
I honestly don't know enough about like their early tours.
Okay. But like just in the grand scheme of things, like what do people associate Ween with?
I feel like Ween is in the same sphere as like jam bands.
Okay.
Like fucking Fish and like great, like the same people that go to a Ween show are going to see Dark Star Orchestra.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, and I know this because like the times that I've seen them and like the other people that I know that like them, like they're just in like Jeaner and Diener are looked at the same way as like Jerry Garcia. Maybe not with the same like we worship like people worshipped Jerry Garcia like a fucking god.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not to that extent, but they have that same like cult following that Grateful Dead.
Okay.
Like people will follow them, like they can play the festival circuit around like the same slots as like Fish would, you know. Maybe not like the same slots.
Yeah,
but they'll play for an hour.
Yeah, they'll be at have bigger letters on the flyer.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Whereas I feel like a band like Butthole Surfers wouldn't, like, even if they were still playing today.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they would have gotten that far.
Oh yeah, no. They're like certifiably nuts.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could tell my Butthole Surfers story on the pod. I don't think it really matters all that
I
much.
also have a Butthole Surfers story that I think I can tell.
Okay. Well, I mean, I was offered an opportunity to do some merch for them at one point in my life, when I was really, really going hard trying to like do commissions for people and stuff. And they basically like they approved one of the shirts and then just fell off the face of the earth, because it was around the 30th anniversary reissue of Locust Abortion Technician.
Yeah.
And I think like apparently they wanted like for merch, they wanted like chocolate assholes and stuff like chocolate shaped
Like Limp
assholes.
Bizkit, they ripped that from Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, I think they did, dude. But they're like certifiably insane, so it makes sense why they really are sort of like people just remember like Pepper, and that's it. But I almost feel like in the same way, like there are people that do also like follow Butthole Surfers, and like that like record. Like I mean, that's like one of Kurt Cobain's favorite records. So I feel like there's probably a pocket of people that still like hold that in that same regard, that sort of cult humor, whatever. I feel like they, but it definitely, I feel like Ween is definitely on a way larger scale and probably on a way nicer scale too. Like I feel like Butthole Surfers fans are just like you scrape them off the bottom of a trailer in the desert, you know, or something like that, you know.
Well, it's funny because I feel like people that like Butthole Surfers usually are also into other shit.
Yeah.
You know, whereas I feel like Ween fans don't necessarily like the people who are in that jam band circuit.
Yeah.
Aren't typically music people.
Yeah.
They're just like weirdo druggy people that also happen to listen to these bands.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of in that Ween world.
I actually, there's a kid at our practice space that I explained to him what band camp was the other day.
Yeah.
He was just like, yeah, like, I've been in a band for like years, you know. I'm like, well, dude, you should get it. He's like, you guys make money? I'm like, kinda, yeah. And he's just like, how?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, there's a website called Bandcamp where like people
at this point in 2022, people that don't know how to put music on Spotify like blow my mind.
It's crazy, you know. And like, you know, I feel like there's definitely like an age, there's definitely an age gap where it's like it's understandable, but like people our age, that like are like, yeah, I've always wanted to like put an album out.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, just fucking do it. Like,
Yeah.
you literally can.
It's weird.
You can make a professional sounding record in your house.
Yeah.
You know, like, but there's people that just like,
well, not even that. Like, you don't need to, like, you can, it's easy enough to, especially if you're in a practice space.
Yeah.
Knock on people's doors and say, hey, I want to record a record. You'll find someone who will record your record for probably not that much money.
Yeah.
And then you can literally spend $20 and put it on Spotify.
Yeah, dude. I mean, me and
not that you should, because I feel like there's too much music in the world right now.
That is also true, and a lot of it is just filler. It's all this like the same shit, and that's not even like the jaded like, oh, everything sounds the same nowadays. It's like, no, like literally everybody has figured out how to make listenable music.
No, maybe the person who doesn't know how to use DistroKid probably shouldn't release music.
Yeah, you know, you don't have to use Reverb Nation. No, but like and I think one thing I really appreciate about those bands like Ween and like Guided by Voices, what are some other bands with some like Modest Mouse and stuff like that, where they had like a lo-fi era
of Montreal. Yeah,
you know, where it's like I remember, and I'm still really in those days. I almost like solely operate in that mode of like, I'm just going to make a record with whatever I have. And at this point I've accumulated enough gear to make something that at least I like the way it sounds.
Yeah.
So I really love like going back and hearing, and I love bands that are super prolific, and it's not because they pump out so much good music. It's like they just release everything, like all the B-sides, all the rejected shit, all the unfinished shit. They just release everything.
The key to success is volume.
Yeah, no, exactly. You know, it's me and Terry, our past guests, were actually talking about in one of our soon to be business ventures. It's about the volume, having back catalog is really what's gonna help really get the operation going. But I guess really what I'm trying to say is like I've definitely operated in that spirit most of my life, at least with the music I really super duper cared enough about that I didn't like want anybody else to touch it, really just being like John the Movie stuff. And I mean, Soda Bomb was sort of like, I was just kind of put up to it because I took an audio production class in school.
Yeah.
So like, but like I love that sort of thing of like, I have like 4 microphones, let's just see what we can make. You know, and like, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, even with my like fucking electronic shit, like I feel like anyone that, you know, can afford Logic Pro can start making like high quality music.
Yeah.
And not even that's like the only DAW you need to use, but we definitely do live in a time where it's very accessible. Like there are the first couple Weendus songs I put out, I used all free plugins.
Yeah.
It was all free VSTs.
Yeah.
You know, it's just about having the fucking knowledge, you know. And like I think going back to Ween, it's like they were one of those bands who had very limited stuff, you know, and were able to put out timeless records with fucking jack shit. It's the same reason why I love all of the early Bomb the Music Industry records. Like Jeff made all that shit in his fucking bedroom, you know. And it's still, I mean, I was honestly listening to a few of those records like pretty recently, and it's like now that I like know the shit that I know and I'm not 13 and just like blown away by fucking everything I hear. I mean, I still love those records, but it's like I can hear now like where some of the inconsistencies in the production are. You know? But it's still goes to show like it's been 10 years and I'm still listening to those records.
Yeah, for sure. And also you just come to appreciate those just from a weird place of like just being able to relate. Like, oh, I remember like being like there was like shit about your record that like, oh, I wish I knew how to like, you know, make my vocals not sound super tinny and like actually EQ stuff. And I wish, you know, I wish I knew or had better microphones at the time or whatever. It's like you can almost like listen to records like that and just be like, yeah, I remember those days where it was just like, you know, you didn't know how to do it, but you did it anyway.
Yeah.
Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny by Mr. Bungle, the original like 8-track shit is like, it's unlistenable. Like it's literally like, but it's fucking awesome. To a point where they redid it in fucking, was it 2020 or was it 2021? And he got like Mike Patton got like Dave Lombardo on drums and fucking Scott Ian, and the songs are still fucking awesome. So like it almost like doesn't even matter the fucking like it really like it doesn't matter the quality of it. Like eventually, if you really believe in something, if we're gonna get existential on here, it will find a way to make it do. And like a lot of these bands, like in this era, especially the '90s era, even take a band like Built to Spill. Like I almost feel like Ween is like Built to Spill is almost like the poetry soft boy in the coffee shop, and then like Ween would run over and like fart on their head, you know, but like they're friends,
bite their ankle,
you know, like it's like Ween's the friend that might take it a little too far, but will say sorry. Whereas like Built to Spill is kind of just like, hey man, you know. But even like Built to Spill, like,
older brother,
most of those bands across like singles and EPs would like redo a lot of songs, like there's multiple versions of the same song. Even like fucking what band did I just Guided by Voices like has, it's like for some of their most like I guess iconic songs or most recognizable songs, there's like at least 3 or 4 like versions of it like that just progressively get better with quality. And it's like if you just really care about the song and you like, you know, there's something about the song that kind of doesn't leave you alone or leaves you maybe the process that you something about the process that was sort of unfulfilling at the time, you know, you can always go back. And I always respected that about those bands. It's like they didn't care about sort of the trajectory of how other people might think they want it to go, where it's like, no, you should just get better and better with quality every record. It's like, no, like I'm on a mission to like fucking make shit. I don't know how true that is with Ween. I know that they do have some like redos, right? Or I don't know. I don't remember what I read, but I know there's like the original like 8-track like cassette shit from like the lo-fi years. And then
they went from really lo-fi to like really lo-fi and then to low, and then they but what I will say is that they're like, I mean, God, Ween, Satan is one of those records where it is like so masterfully lo-fi that like, and it's like that conundrum. It's like people will listen to fucking the Microphones, you know, or Neutral Milk Hotel and be like, I want to recreate this because I only have a microphone in my fucking laptop and like I should be able, and it's like it doesn't work like that. Like you need to know at least generally how recording sound works before you can just say, all right, fucking I'm gonna use a tape deck and a fucking iPhone and like make a record. You know?
Well, fucking I don't know if you've heard the Ward Number 6 demo, dude, but
what is that?
That was like me, Quinn, Richie, and Lumpy did like a power violence-y like moshy demo in like 6 hours, and I recorded with iPhone drums. It sounds like shit, but it's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
But that was also just me being like whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But no, you definitely, in order to achieve like real like cult good lo-fi, you need to know what you're doing. Like Ty Segall, I don't know if you're familiar with Ty Segall at all.
Yeah.
Hit like was it Melted? That record sounds like fucking dog shit.
Yeah.
But also it doesn't sound like, oh man, they didn't know what they were doing. It sounds like a full record.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds cohesive. I think that's the word I'm looking for.
I'm gonna shout out Mike Varley real quick, because that dude is so good with a tape deck.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, he can make a band sound fucking dope with a tape deck.
You should have you seen his setup in our practice space?
Oh no, I haven't. I've only seen it at the old.
He's got like all DAW-less like equipment. Like I'm actually probably gonna do like a full John the Movie EP with him.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like it'd be really fun, and it's also in the place where my drums are set up.
Yeah.
But no, Mike Varley is another. We should have him on the podcast because he's a really penisy dude. Like straight up like loves beatdown, also loves like real emo stuff. Also, he's just like one of those guys that just marches to the beat of his own drum.
Yeah.
And I've always loved Mike for that. He would be a great guest. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
And he also loves penis music. Like he
Yeah.
loves like the concept of it. So
Yeah.
all right, Mike, we're gonna do a Mike Varley deep dive.
Mike. We should just have an episode about Mike Varley. He's not on it. We just talk about him.
Historian was archiving of Mike Varley's history.
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like it'd be kind of worth. It would be pretty stimulating. I don't really like. I've known Mike Varley for like at this point almost 10 years, and I don't even really know that much about him.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
He's elusive. I have a conspiracy that there is more than one Mike Varley in our universe. Like
Highlander.
Yeah, like there's like like if we're gonna talk about the multiverse, like there's a universe where Mike Varley invented a machine where he could jump from universe to universe, and I think that we're living in a universe where there is more than one Mike Varley, because I've seen like Instagram story, Mike Varley's at this party, and then I'm also sitting 3 feet away from Mike Varley, and then I'm also seeing a post of Mike Varley in it that was from 3 minutes ago. He's just one of those.
Maybe
dudes.
he's just really fast.
Yeah, that too.
Or
I would like to believe the multiverse. Like there's an evil genius Mike Varley in like a dystopian world.
Yeah,
that's similar to ours.
A castle.
Yeah, and he invented a interdimensional, space hopping machine.
I didn't think on this episode we'd get into Mike Varley.
Isn't that pretty much the plot of Everything Everywhere All at Once?
I didn't even see that movie. I haven't watched the movie in so long. I actually at Savers I got the first 4 seasons of South Park for like $20. And I've just been frying my brain with that. Yeah. Which honestly relates to the podcast, because you do have Primus that does the theme song.
It's a penis show.
It's definitely a penis show.
Penis show.
What the fuck
I mean, every Adult Swim but that's Comedy Central, right?
Yeah, that's Comedy Central.
Okay, Comedy Central and Adult Swim, both penis-y programs.
For sure. I feel like Adult Swim definitely harnessed like real penis energy.
They perfected it.
Yeah, even just
South Park invented it. Adult Swim perfected.
Yeah, but Adult Swim perfected it because they have like. You ever see YOLO? What's that Crystal Lake? What the fuck is that cat doing? What are you doing, bud? What's that show that's coming out?
I don't know. I don't watch shows anymore.
Crystal.
I'm too busy to watch television.
That's true, dude. You're. I guess I can't make
Don't
any
say
jokes.
it.
What's your Butthole Surfer story?
My Butthole Surfer story. So my dad played in a band called Roadkill.
Dope.
And
Crystal Fantasy, that's the name of the show.
Okay. And his band Roadkill, I mean, they used to play with like 38 Special and like the Good Rats, like that whole circuit, 80s, 90s, Long Island. And they played with Butthole Surfers one time. I can't remember where. I'm sure he would remember if I asked him. Maybe I should ask him for the purposes of this podcast.
I should probably keep telling the story. I gotta get.
He's just eating a bag. It's no big deal. but he was talking to them apparently, and this is all conjecture. I don't know how much of the story is actually real, but he was talking to them before they played. I'm also pretty sure in this story my dad headlined over Butthole Surfers. I don't know if that's true, but I would love to believe it is. And whatever, so he was talking to them before the show or before they played or whatever. I think for the purposes of the story, let's say my dad was playing a show with Butthole Surfers headlining over them, and Butthole Surfers were about to go on stage and they smelled really fucking bad.
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "You guys aren't going to shower before your set?" I don't know, for some reason that's a thing, like you want to shower before you
I
play
would
a
never
show.
do that. I mean,
I would-
waste of fucking time.
Well, their response to my dad was, "Why would we shower before we play? People are about to start spitting on us."
Oh,
And he was like, "What?" And they were like, "Yeah." And then like went on stage, started playing their set, and people were spitting at the Butthole Surfers.
like out of rage or just like part of the thing?
part of the thing,
Ah,
apparently.
Okay,
Was
yeah.
to spit on the Butthole
That's
Surfers
fucking
while
awesome.
they play. Again, this is just lore, passed down legends lore that
Well,
I would love to believe every sentiment, every sentence.
I
is
believe
true.
it. I believe it because like that's at a point where people were like actually weird. Like I'm sure you had your like pseudo intellectuals like back then that was like that were insufferable to like talk
Yeah.
to, but like there was no influence where you could pick or choose. It's like I feel like if you found the place where Butthole Surfers were playing,
Yeah.
you were sort of, if you are a seasoned veteran of that scene, you were just swallowed up by it and you just became like that's the only influence there was just to become the thing.
Well, that's
You know,
okay. I'm gonna make a statement right now.
let's fucking hear it.
That's the difference between penis now and penis then. Is
Yeah.
that? But hold on, like people weren't afraid to genuinely be fucking freaks.
Yeah.
In like the fucking 90s.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make one exception. And my one exception is Show Me the Body.
Yeah.
Their fan base is like so about that shit.
Yeah.
And they are like live or die by that band.
Dude, there's a kid that
Has the tat.
the forehead
Yeah.
tattoo. Dude, well, when I did a weekend with them when I was playing with the fight, and I swear, like Julian could have been like, "Hey, everybody, see that hairy kid over there, John, who plays drums? Literally eat him right now." And they would all chase me around. Like they were that fucking insane. Like,
Yeah.
and actually the Long Island show, you guys played
Yeah,
that
we
too.
played that, yeah.
That was one of the craziest fight sets like
Yeah, it
ever.
was.
I saw, do you know like when you like someone's like running and you see like the waves behind that, like the they call it the persistence of vision.
Yeah.
Where it's like you see the trail.
Yeah.
That was everybody.
Yeah.
Like running back and forth. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is like, I want to play to these kids because
Yeah.
they're just nuts.
That the same thing happened with Restraining Order when, I mean, it happens for them all the time because they're just one of those bands.
Yeah, yeah, people love them. Yeah.
That if you like anything, like if you like punk, even an ounce, then you're gonna like Restraining Order.
Yeah. Also, in my opinion, probably like definitely the best hardcore band out right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
Objectively.
So like that happened, like where it was Stand Still and Restraining Order. It was the first day of our tour to LDB, and we were playing in West Virginia, I
Mhm.
think. I could be wrong, but it was just one of those shows, and it was all just like kind of weirdo, crusty punks, and like none of them had anything to do with hardcore, and they fucking like went off
Yeah, dude.
for Restraining Order.
Yeah.
You know?
It was crazy. I remember seeing the shift too, because you know back before The World Was Too Much came out, you know they would definitely have crazy sets. Like people would be into it, but I feel like it was like a lot of just people that knew them that were like sort of setting it off. And then
Yeah.
we played a show with them at Windjammer. I don't. Do you remember that place? Is in like Ridgewood.
No.
It's like this weird back room in Queens. And that was like insane. Like there was just like shit flying everywhere, people diving on each other, like the whole
Shit.
the whole room was
Shit
just
flying everywhere.
yeah, like people were throwing like
Feces.
toilet paper and like streamers and stuff. I have a specific vision of people like going ape shit, and I think that was
Yeah.
only after the first single came out. Don't really think so.
Yeah.
Shout out to Restraining Order. Honestly, shout out to Show Me the Body too, because they're I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a fan,
Yeah.
especially after that weekend. You know, like I remember seeing them one time and be like, I don't know if this is for me.
Yeah.
And that was in like 2014. But people even then were like going off for them, and
Yeah.
like just like PA systems were flying over. And then like I saw it a bunch of times, and then I kind of like especially on that weekend. And I'm like, oh no, I get this now. This is like, I mean, and they explained it to it. It is like a lot of New York hardcore groove, just with weird shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Uh-huh.
That guy's motherfucker's got a banjo.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
hardcore that even Pitchfork can like.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you know what's funny? I'm gonna bring up this joke because you just said something that struck.
God, here we go.
It's not a joke really, but like, I remember, what's it called? I remember back in like the Soda Bomb days playing basements, there was always one hardcore band, and like they were just like a power violence band, because like I feel like everybody outside of New York, that's what they think hardcore is. So we were playing also like DC and like Baltimore a lot, so it was like a lot of power violence. Regional Justice Center just sounds like that one band on like every. That's what I'm like. They sound like the one hardcore band on like every basement show.
Yeah.
It's a good band.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like that. I don't know why. I guess the fact that you said hardcore, that Pitchfork could even, like, I thought of Basement Kids listening to hardcore.
Yeah.
And then I thought of, oh yeah, I remember when Basement Kids used to listen to hardcore and it was just power violence.
I thought you were gonna go a different route.
Oh no, I don't even know where you thought I was going.
Okay, well then we'll dodge that bullet.
Let's say we'll go off right.
So back to Ween.
Back to Ween.
Any last words on Ween? Because we're about an hour and 8 minutes,
Wow.
but that's also 8 minutes of me fucking around with the microphones and shit.
That's okay. So
I want to know. Okay, I've said my piece.
Okay.
I love Ween.
Yeah.
They are a band that can make me laugh. They can make me cry.
Okay.
They can make me horny.
Sure.
You know, they can make me fart, and they make me happy.
Did you say happy already?
No, I said horny.
No, it was the first one you said. Oh, you said laugh.
Laugh.
Okay.
They can make me cry.
Okay.
Which they like, dude. Like for real. Like they like, dude. It's gonna be all
Yeah, that's a sad fucking song.
like, dude, that shit is fire.
Yeah, there is. Well, and that's like that's my favorite song on Mollusk. Probably that and Mutilated Lips. Between those two, those were the ones that stuck out to me.
Weird take, but sure. What I want to know your takeaway from this Ween deep dive.
So I don't know if I'll necessarily I don't know if I'll necessarily go back to like frequent those records now that I've listened to them. Honestly, I'll probably frequent White Pepper and the tracks I mentioned. I also would like to listen to their other records and see if there's anything there that I do really, because I started listening to the pod a little bit. And like I said, there's a couple songs on Quebec that would come on that I'm like, I actually think if I took the time to really listen to this, I could really like it. I think that's the song. Yeah, probably. Yeah. The other thing I think I really liked about them is like, you almost couldn't tell who's singing. They have so many voices. There's so many like they fuck with all the effects and stuff like that.
So that is mostly Gene.
Okay.
That's most. Dean sings on a couple. Dean sings Blarney Stone.
Okay. But that's what I'm saying is like it sounded like there's like 7 fucking singers in the band. They pitch shift. Yeah,
their own
I like that too. So you know what? No,
but like in a weird, like not in like a fucking chipmunky way.
Yeah,
like they like the way that they process their vocals is like, and he can also like actually do that. Like when they play live, he actually does that shit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, so he does have different inflections and ways that he'll sing and stuff, but they will also pitch shift stuff.
So I think how long were we planning to do this? Because we had a couple setbacks in scheduling of doing this episode, so it was like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So really, I don't think 2 weeks is enough time So I'm gonna retract my statement and say I don't think 2 weeks is enough time to really make a definitive statement on if I'd ever revisit Ween again, because there are songs that do get stuck in my head.
Yeah.
So I think I will find a time in my life where I'll find the song that like I'll latch onto, and that'll really launch me into super Weendom. Kind of like I've said it on past episodes, like a band like Fugazi or a band like Nirvana, where it's like there's something about it one day where like I have to listen to this for like the next 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, I get that way with bands. So I feel like,
Well, so Ween is so immature
yeah.
that I feel like part of the reason why I love them so much, I mean, definitely is one of the reasons is because I started listening to them when I was a fucking child.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why I was able to emotionally attach to them, because I was able to relate with it.
Yeah.
Literally, because I was a fucking shit-eating little kid.
Yeah.
You know? So you, as a 48-year-old,
Yeah, 48-year-old.
maybe won't be able to attach yourself to as much of the Ween discography as I was able to as a ripe young lad.
If I really actually took the time to listen to them as seriously as I did when I found Built to Spill and Guided by Voices, I feel like they would definitely still like be right in line with that. Like I found Guided by Voices and Built to Spill really at the same time when I was just in Philly in the cold smoking cigarettes and whatnot. Not that I think I've smoked like one cigarette in my life, but the smell of cigarettes, that in the air, that's like that whole thing for me, is thinking about Built to Spill and Guided by Cigs.
Yeah.
But I think that's actually my real takeaway is I don't think that 2 weeks is enough time to really form a real opinion, because I like a lot of what I heard. There's definitely some, like, I feel like I'll have to listen to a lot of like the real penis stuff in like context with the record and be like maybe cleaning the house and then just like one day singing along to realize, oh, I really like this. So I think if I'm gonna rate the albums, actually no, I'm not gonna do that.
No, you should. Well, just tell me what you liked White Pepper the most.
I obviously but I liked it for like purely sonic purposes, like, you know. But
well, because I think the reason why is because that is their most grown up record.
Yeah,
that is
sure.
Ween as a, you know, they had their fucking acid phase and their I'm gonna like eat actual poop phase, and pee all over myself phase, and like I'm just saying, if I'm personifying Ween as a person, and they hit rock bottom and they built themselves up and were able to become a functioning human in society, that is White Pepper.
Yeah, for sure. So I definitely, and especially like too, like you could tell that like they had a budget and they used it like wisely, you know.
Yeah.
So White Pepper, I think just sonically was my favorite. I think Chocolate and Cheese was the best one, like as a real Ween fan, because that's like, I don't want to say great, it's like greatest hits of Ween, fucking what's the word I'm looking for? Ween cubby holes.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll say Chocolate and Cheese is number one. Then White Pepper, because I've just actually really enjoyed that record. Then I'm going to say Mollusk. Actually, no, I'm going to say God, Ween, Satan, because that's lo-fi. I get it. I understand it. It's like just dickhead, stupid, insane inside joke, you know, like whatever, with music that probably at the time that they wrote it, like 5 of their friends heard and then eventually spread. I like that. And then I'll put Mollusk, because that was the one that like, I'm like, I hate nautical shit, but I'm trying to understand the context of it. And I won't even say that like I'm not ranking. I'm actually going to put them in, I'm going to put them next to each other.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if there's a tape rack, like what am I going for in what mood?
Yeah.
Cubby holes.
Uh-huh.
You know.
So
I'm going to say Mollusk was probably like the one that I'll go for the least, because yeah, like I said, it's like like themes that I'm like, that's a record that you definitely have to grow up with
Yeah.
to really like get. Or I mean, if you like nautical shit, like there's and the just for a little context of why I hate nautical shit, and it's a really stupid reason. There was a super group that came out that was like Danny Carey, from Tool, Brent Hines, I forget who else. And I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. And I scrolled down the article. Oh, it's a nautical themed fucking metal band.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck you guys. That could have been like the coolest prog record, like metal record of all time.
Yeah.
And you did a fucking pirate record.
So the thing is about a band like that, though, is they are going to take themselves seriously, and they're gonna like be pretentious and like, you know.
I almost feel like they're gonna like hide their humor. They're gonna hide like the facetiousness and sense of humor.
It's tongue in cheek, like like
yeah.
Whereas like I feel like Ween is or the Mollusk is one of those albums that like I could relate it to like when you start playing like a video game and like, you know, like a RPG or some shit like that, and you start it and you are kind of like confused at first and finding your way around this like new world, you know, and then like eventually once you play it enough, you start to put yourself in that context. Like you start to see yourself in that world. Whereas with the Mollusk, like if you listen to it enough and you let it into yourself, you start to become the little boy.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh man. Oh, that face was awesome. It's just like, damn, I really just said that shit. I really just said that. That was awesome. This is why if you're listening on fucking Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you got to go to the YouTube channel and check out the face that Jerry just did after that.
Yeah.
That's why we do both.
Oh god.
So do you know what my other big takeaway from Ween that inspires me is that in the world that we dwell in mostly, I feel like people are so afraid to really fully be like, people talk about being freaks and weirdos and whatnot, or like being crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like I only feel like the level that they're allowed to, that they allow themselves to really explore, that basically stops with the seal of approval of the social powers that be. And like hearing a band like Ween, where it's like they just fucking were so weird and crazy, and they just took their sense of humor. It's like, I don't care if anybody gets this.
Yeah.
This is just what we're doing. I respect that. Obviously, this is decades beforehand, but it still rings true to this day. I feel like, as you said, to really wrap up this episode, as you said, penis now is very different than penis then.
Yeah.
Because now penis now basically has a stop loss, you know, where it's like people are only willing to be as crazy as they're allowed to be because they're afraid of maybe being guys crossing the threshold and being received differently than they want to.
Yeah.
I don't have that problem
Yeah.
because I am a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And that's why, half the reason why I wanted to do this podcast in the first place.
I'm destroying this tape, sorry.
Yeah, that was
weird. That was weird, right?
Let's just cut it there. We just literally just cut it right now.
We're losing it.
No,
I love Ween.